There's another one you don't want to hear. Frankly, if you do I.
One, two, three, set, go.
Right now on the Power Chord Hour, we're talking to Steve Neurotic of the legendary New Jersey punk band Shower with Goats, as well as his other project, Steve the Neurotics. Shower with Goats just released a previously unreleased album called This Is Not a Reflection on Steve's charity label, Not-for-Profit Records. And he just, it's funny if you've been listening to the show, he was our very first guest just around the time he started that label. And we're going to talk about the band, the label, the new record, and just everything else kind of going on around that whole, what Steve's doing musically. So Steve, man, how are you?
Good, man. How you been? It's been a long time.
I've been very well. And yeah, it really has. Like I said, it's insane to think now it's been like 4 years since you've been on, but yeah, very first interview. And at the time, yeah, you were working, I believe, doing some stuff with Steve and the Neurotics, and you just started Not-for-Profit Records. And we're going to get into all that and everything. But, obviously you have a new record here with the new Shower with Goats. And it was recorded a little while back. I know this has been a while since you guys did it. But how far back did you actually record this record? When was this actually recorded?
Well, the bulk of it was recorded in December 2008. And then I went back down and redid some vocals I think in April 2009, so I'd call it like 11 years.
Oh wow! So yeah, you've had this in the can for a little while. I mean, did you like the entire time in between? The 11 years. Was the plan always that it was going to get released, or at some point in there did you just think, all right, this is just never going to happen?
No, I always planned on it. When we were done recording, we actually jumped the gun and got like 500 CDs pressed and put it up, for sale and as well as for download. But then we realized, man, this just doesn't sound right, because we tried, back when we did our first album, Just Another Day. You could go into a studio and you could record and mix an album in 2 days. And, the last time we recorded, was before our 7-year hiatus from 2000 to 2007. And back then you could, do stuff like that. And, fast forward to 2008, 2009, studios using Pro Tools and stuff like that, and that was our first experience with that. And while you may think it's easier, or people might think that it's easier now, people expect more out of a record now that technology is where it is. Even with punk bands and pop punk bands, they expect a smooth sounding produced record. So we thought we could get away with doing what we did on Just Another Day, record 1 day, 2 days, and mix the whole album in another. And so we got home, we got 500 CDs pressed, put it up for sale, and not long after we pulled it. And there's maybe 40 or 50 CDs in the wild, maybe a few people paid to download it. The bulk of the CDs that are out there, the original session, were like friends and family, like close friends and family. So, so we just kind of shelved it. And then a year later, the studio, Crescendo Studios, that was owned by Addison Burns and Darren Newfer, they sold it. And all of the recordings, that they had done there with bands, they saved them, but they were just dismantled on various hard drives all over the place. And I asked Darren Newfer, probably I've been bugging him for the past like 6 or 7 years to get me the entire session. I was like, dude, I'll have Amazon send you, a external hard drive, just dump it all on there and, send it to me, But, he's a busy guy, as, most people are busy, especially before COVID. And I got a hold of him again once this COVID thing started. I was like, dude, you're probably sick of hearing it from me, but with COVID and everything now, I figured you might have some time to dig through all the old drives and try and find that session. And he found it, and
Nice.
he put it on like I don't think it was Google Drive. I think it was what's the other big one that people use?
Dropbox?
Dropbox. That was it. He put it up on Dropbox. And I downloaded it. It was like 21 gigs or something like
Oh,
that. I mean,
Jesus.
the whole thing. And I posted in the New Jersey pop punk group asking around, hey, is there anyone in here who owns a studio who'd be able to take, an 11-year-old recording done on Pro Tools if they have, the entire bulk, session of files and pull it up, how it was and redo it. And Eric Victor from Creep Records, I think, was the first or second person to respond to me. And, I knew him from way back. I mean, he used to put out some great releases, Plow United, The Boils. He did some great stuff, The Halflings. And I said, let's give it a shot. Take one song, two songs, and do a rough and see what we could come up with here. And he got me those, and they sounded phenomenal. I mean, technology in the audio engineering industry has come a long way in 11 years. So you could do a lot of things that weren't possible, even with Pro Tools in 2008. There's been a lot of advances since then in recording and production.
You think it got easy, like from even like that 11 years, like you were saying, how going in and 2 days wasn't enough and stuff. Does it seem like it's kind of gotten maybe a little simpler in that time? Like maybe they fixed some of those kinks?
No, it's still not. You still can't record and mix an album in 2 days anymore, but you can fix stuff that you couldn't fix. I really didn't want to redo a whole lot of things on this recording. It was of that era, and I kind of wanted to keep it. And I said, look, you're going to hear off vocals, you're going to hear out of tune guitar, because my main guitar that I still have to this day is my 1994 BC Rich NJ series, and it has a Floyd Rose tremolo system, which is notorious for going out of tune 10 seconds into a song. I mean, I love that guitar. It's, it was on every Shower with Goats recording before. We used it for some of the songs on This Is Not a Reflection, and some of them I ended up borrowing a guitar that they had in the studio, because it just kept going out of tune. And so things that they weren't able to fix in mixing back then, like an out of tune guitar lead. There was on the song Pure, there is a kind of like a lead at the end that goes on and fades out. That was completely out of tune. And back then you couldn't say, hey, could you tune that guitar recording and make it fit? And they'd be like, what are you, nuts? You got to redo the damn thing. I mean,
That's definitely modern technology.
Yeah, and stuff with vocals and everything, too. I mean, there's only so much they could do, as far as if you were out of tune. Um, when we recorded, it had been, a long time since I had actually used my voice. Um, we did a reunion show like a year before in 2007. And then this is, a year and a half later, that I hadn't really used my voice to the full extent. So I was having some issues, with some high notes and stuff like that, just because I was out of practice. And, the other guys live up in Pennsylvania, and now I'm in Texas. But when we recorded that session, I was living in North Carolina. So we, just kind of sent files back and forth, online. And we practiced the night before we recorded in Addison Burns' storage unit. He had a storage unit that his bands practiced in. And, that was the practice that we got for that entire album.
Oh, gee,
It was
my
like those
God,
2
man.
hours. Yeah. So
Wow.
we went in and, I mean, we actually pulled it off. I mean, for the most part, it's just, you know, there were things, it just stuff was like out of tune and, things like that,
Yeah, I mean, it came out good. Like, I don't feel like listening to it now. I'm not like, oh, like that sounds like it was done in like 2 days. Like, there's really like nothing like that. I feel like it came out well, and kind of going with that too, man. Like, I mean, I've realized talking to like other bands kind of from your guys' era too, as well as that, where there was a time where that was the normal kind of thing. Like a punk band would just kind of go in and like, they go in, maybe they'd practice the songs, maybe they wouldn't, but they would go in and do it with like, a weekend or whatever, you try to do it really
Yeah.
fast. Do you miss like that at all? Because a lot of things that I hear from people that they go, the thing that we're missing now because of that is the urgency, like going in, sometimes there is something magical of like trying to do it in such, a short amount of time.
Yeah, I actually do miss it. I people expect too much nowadays, out of an album, and it's so hard to compete. Everybody wants that perfect sounding record, and if you listen to the old Shower with Goats recordings, I mean, they were raw,
Oh yeah.
like even we classify ourselves as a raw classic pop punk band. We don't have a bunch of fancy stuff going on, in most of our songs. But people expect, that out of bands and especially recordings nowadays, that polished feel to it. And it's kind of lost that punk rock edge,
Yeah.
So yeah, I do miss it. And, it just was captured differently back then. It gave it, like I said, a more raw feel. And even the whole internet thing, even the way the whole, bands, got their stuff out there. I mean, I'm still stuck in 1998, 1999, trying to promote this record. Like, honestly, for the most part, I don't know what the hell I'm doing because, back when I had to promote an album, last, it was you send in copies to MRR, Razor Cake, Punk Planet, you know, um, MRR used to put out that thing, Book Your Own Effing
Oh
Life.
hell yeah, I've heard about
Um,
that.
and it used to have contacts of, people who did college radio shows and people who did, smaller zines. And, you know, that's how we used to function. I mean, I would even like, back before most people had CD burners, I would take cassettes and just dub, you know, 4 or 5 songs on a cassette and just write down, the contact info, go to like a big show at City Gardens or something and just hand out tapes for free,
Oh,
or
nice.
drop them off in a box at, a record store, for people to take. And, that was how you promoted stuff. And now it's like there's such a saturation of it, with online, and it's really competitive. And I see some bands just coming out of the woodwork and succeeding with it, and I'm just wondering, like, what the hell are they doing? Do they have like uh, you know $10,000 advertising budget or something like that, or what are they doing that I'm not, so yeah, not only do I miss the whole recording process, I just miss the whole thing, the way things were,
Oh yeah, I mean, I'd
um
imagine too, like like what you were just talking about too, like you're no longer in competition just with. I mean, I don't know if you want to use the word competition, but like I think you get what I'm saying. Where it's like before, maybe you're just trying to get your record in, and you're kind of up against the other bands from your area, like like other New Jersey punk bands and stuff. Whereas now with the
right.
internet, it's like, Christ, you have everybody in every area, every city, every town. Like now it's not just the punk bands in your scene. Now it's every single goddamn punk band that exists. You're kind of,
I know.
up against.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's how it feels. And you know uh, I've never been about, fame and fortune, and or never even thought about, getting, hundreds of thousands or millions of streams. But, the one thing that's important to me, everything that I put out musically now is on my not-for-profit records label, which is 100%, nonprofit. Every release that I do, every bit of profit goes to different charities. I only keep the money that I put into it. I only take that back. So it's, a big focus more than anything to try and get eyes on the label, um, as a whole, to try and help out these charities. Um, that's even more important to me than, getting eyes on the new release or the band. Of course, that all ties together since, I do the label. But that's, why I'm trying to figure this whole thing out, and how to get out there more. I mean, I can't find, places that'll even review a record other than MRR. Like, I sent them the Just Another Day 20th anniversary vinyl and the Pink Lincoln's Headache reissue at the same time, and they reviewed both of them, in the print scene, as well as, they archive it like a month or two after it comes out online. You could get like a PDF of it, and they reviewed both of them. But as far as like, online, I haven't been able to find, places that will publish stuff. And, I contact the websites and everything like that, and send them, press kits and links to downloads and them everything. And it's just super competitive. It's like, it's,
It, it definitely
kind
seems like it, being from the other, I'm not on like that, I'm kind of on the opposite side of that. And like, I can't imagine, I've thought of that a lot, where it's like, that's why I try to listen to like anything that anyone sends me. Cause it's like, damn, it can't be easy. That's a whole nother part of being in the band that I don't think people think of. It's like, you're releasing the music, but now you have to like actually like distribute it, get people to hear about it, spread the word. Like, that's a whole nother section of it that I think a lot of people don't think about.
exactly, exactly.
But
So
you know,
that's where we stand now. But as far as the release, this is not a reflection. I'm really happy with how it came out in the end. It's the album that I believe it was meant to be. Um, even even though those songs are, you know, an old recording, they're new to people for the most part. And you know, what a lot of people also don't know is that most of those songs, probably like 80% of the songs on that album, were written in the 7-year hiatus that Sheriff Goats had between when we broke up in 2000 and when we were formed in 2007. I continued, you know, like writing, and I just had little, you know, home recordings of just me, you know, vocals and guitar, and I just kept them and just sat on them. And when we did that reunion show, I think we played one of those songs. Um, and so it's, you know, even though it's a lot produced than Just Another Day, it's almost like it's Just Another Day Part Two, because the songs were written, you know, right after we broke up. So it's especially maybe not Just Another Day, but you know, we had that Getting Lucky CD that had a bunch of you know, unreleased songs like Motivation and Me Versus Myself, which was on that Spring Man uh, um, Punk Rock Strike, the first one,
Oh,
compilation
nice.
that they put out. And I know a lot of people like that song, Me Versus Myself. Well, you know, these songs that are on This Is Not a Reflection, you know, some of these songs were written, you know, 1 or 2 years after, you know, that came out. So, yeah, a lot of people might not know that.
That's pretty neat.
So,
Like that has the for you too. Then like since they were you know, not only has the album, like you said, you guys recorded this really like 11 years ago, but then you were writing songs even prior to that. I mean, this has to feel good then, yeah, as an artist, probably being like, oh, I finally, you're kind of finally getting that gratification, even though it's a little while later. It's like hell yeah, like, you know, we're getting that record out into the world finally. You know, that has to feel good.
exactly. And also because there's several songs on the release like Rise Above, which are very special to me because they're very personal. They're, you know, they're like Rise Above is kind of like a story of you know, a period in my life when I was living in my wife and I were living in North Carolina, and we hated it there so much. And it was about how much, you know, we didn't like, you know, just kind of like the local people there, the ones who were from there, and how we wanted out. And if you listen to the lyrics, you know, it's about that. And you know, we finally got out in 2014. You know, we moved to Texas, which has been, you know, good to us. Um, but that song, you know, it's really personal to me, and at the end, is probably one of the favorite things out of everything I've ever recorded. Is that multiple vocal harmony, which Addison Burns from Quit sings on.
Oh,
And
nice.
Quit was the reason I started Shower with Goats. Like the early songs that are considered classic Shower with Goats, like Back to Me, Stranded. Um, I wrote while I was staying at the bass player of Quit, Tony's house in Miami, for like a week or two. I wrote, you know, he'd be at work during the day and he had a bass there and a guitar, and I wrote them like there, like, you know.
Nice.
So to have, you know, the vocalist that, you know, made me want to start Shower with Goats, not only recording the album but actually singing on it, you know, that was really, really cool to me. And on top of it being a special song already, that meant a lot to me, and that was very personal. Just having him do the, you know, those incredible vocal harmonies at the end was like spectacular. So I'm I'm really happy that, that song is seeing the light of day the way it, was meant to be, the way it was, how I envisioned it. So
That's rad, and I know like it. I know that you mean it when you say it's like awesome to have her on because you're the reason I even know who Quit is. Last time we talked, I remember you turning me on to them. So I remember last time you had a lot of kind words for them. So that's pretty cool that you got her on there. That's really rad.
yeah, they shower goats. I mean, probably would exist, but probably it definitely wouldn't be the same. I mean,
Different sound.
We used to cover "It's All the Same," and people thought that was an original at first, and people thought that was our song, and so we turned a lot of people in Jersey onto Quit because they wanted to hear the original. So they kind of searched it out, and I promoted them to everybody I could. I was just like, there's this incredible, like they're legends in South Florida. They're they're kind of like gods down there.
That's where they're from, right? Florida.
Yeah, yep. They're from Miami, and so yeah, I helped turn a lot of people on to them through covering "It's All the Same" on our first demo, and also on "Just Another Day," and then on the Logo 7-inch we did another song, "Changes," that was by them. So yeah, it was really cool. A lot of respect for those guys.
No, that is awesome, and kind of going back to the new record as well. And I mean, I know we keep talking about it, how it's been a while and whatnot. But I mean, were there any songs on this that you'd kind of forgotten about? Because I like, as you were saying too, like how they are. I guess you didn't say this, but it's kind of like a time capsule where, like, this song, you can listen back and you're like, oh yeah, this song's about this part of my life and whatnot. Were any of those like ones? Were there any of these that like surprised you that you had forgotten about like since recording this, or did you kind of remembered most of it?
There was one in particular, and I wasn't really going to talk about it because I kind of want to try to bury it. But on the original Reflection release, that very few people have, there was a song on there called "Southern Hospitality," and the lyrics weren't very nice. And a lot of people don't know because the lyrics in that original song didn't portray it, but it was about an ex that was physically abusive toward me. And so I had a lot of pent up animosity and anger and hatred towards her. So the lyrics in that song are very harsh, a lot of name calling. And, things have changed a lot since that was recorded. And I went and listened to that song, and I was like, man, that, I don't want to put that out there. It's like calling, a female, derogatory names, and, people won't know the story behind it,
Yeah.
that, I was really angry at the time because of what happened to me. So I opted to write new lyrics for that, and it's on "This Is Not a Reflection" as a ode to a PvP tryhard. And it's people that play video games will get it.
I was trying to figure out what that title meant. I have to say I do. Apparently I don't, because I was trying to figure out the reference in that.
Yeah, PvP is player versus player. The guys that play Call of Duty and stuff like that. They're like, there's a reference to being sweaty in there. The people that are really like, you'll go in there and they'll kill you 50 times, over in the game. People refer to them as sweaties or tryhards. So, ode to a PvP tryhard. And it's like, I get so angry. I've broken like controllers, and at the end you could hear I won't spoil it, but if you listen to the ending, it's kind of funny.
It is a good
Um,
it is a good ending.
but so, I took something that was negative, because I'd forgotten, just how harsh those lyrics were. And, of course, at the time, I feel, I feel that I was expressing how I felt at the time, and I don't have any apologies for that. I think I was right in how I felt. But putting this out now, it's not representative of who I am. It's not representative of how I would deal with that now. Um, I don't think using like derogatory names against females is a good thing by any means.
Oh, totally.
So, but the reason I didn't want to mention it is because people are going to try and find that original now, and it's not something I'm proud of. Let's just
It's
put
cool
it that
though.
way.
It's cool you went back though, and like you're saying, like you could switch it around, and like, I mean, because it is too. I mean, that's it. You obviously wrote it, well over a decade ago. So it's cool that you had the chance to put this out and kind of rewrite that into, like you said, I mean, something more positive and something different, and a great song too. To be honest,
something funny.
Yeah.
I turned something that was a dark point in my life that kind of screwed me up mentally, and turned it into something funny, a funny song. Like I know some people that are, PvP tryhards, and I sent it to them before it came out, and let them hear like rough mixes, and they're, laughing like crazy. They're like, oh my God, if you're not a PvP person, you might not get it. But, for PvP people that do play those games, I think they'll get a kick out of it.
Oh, I think they will. Not now, knowing what it means. The that outro is great. That outro relates well with we'll play a bunch of songs off the album after the interview and everything. Maybe we'll have to throw that one on there. But
well, it does have explicit lyrics still in it.
Oh,
I think.
that's true.
Yeah,
that
it
is
does.
true.
The ending, the end line.
Maybe on the
repeats.
we're okay on the podcast. We can throw some F-bombs on there. On the radio part, maybe we'll leave that out or censor it. But
yeah.
But like, is there any other? I mean, I know this just got released, but I mean, when you're looking back through old Shower with Goats material, I mean, you have put stuff out before of unreleased stuff, like with Getting Lucky, like you were mentioning. Is there anything else out there that you could see getting released anytime soon? You got any like old other like unreleased Shower with Goats material that has not seen the light of day?
There is only one Shower with Goats song that has never been released.
Really?
And it's gonna stay that way. It's it's an instrumental, sort of. It's called SWG. And it was when we were recording the song Useless for the Drive Thru Records Mulletcore comp.
Oh, nice.
We did that, and a song called What Happened to You, which we released on Bandcamp, in kind of like a outtakes thing that we have on there called Our Apologies or something like that. But you could hear it. I think I put it on the now streaming version of Getting Lucky, because we put all of our stuff on streaming services just recently, and it's called Getting Lucky Stream Version because I removed the songs that were on Just Another Day from there, since that's up there already, and since we've done the 20th anniversary reissue. And there was what Happened to You, which I think is on that streaming version. And then we had a little bit of time left, and we just kind of jammed like this instrumental, and the beginning of it is just an ex of mine at the time, not the same ex, by the way, that was mentioned previously. And she goes, ha ha ha, you guys suck at the beginning of the song. And it's just an instrumental, for the rest of it. But we just kind of did it for us,
Hmm.
and that's the only thing. That was 98.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah,
We
that's an
recorded that.
oldie.
Yeah. Like I said, we were in there doing, Drive Through asked us to do an unreleased song for Mullet Core, and we gave them Useless, which, uh, I'm not very fond of that song. I'm not very fond of the recording. It was kind of rushed because they had a deadline, and it didn't come out the way I envisioned it. But I kind of wish we had a better song, or at least a better recording of the song to give them at the time. But it is what it is. But that's the only Shower with Goats song that's no one has. I mean, the other two band members, Dave and Dave's brother Todd, that played bass for us at the time, might have it on a cassette somewhere, but I think I'm the only one that has an actual like CD or digital recording of it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's gonna stay that way. It's just you got to keep something to yourself.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But I have been writing new material, and we actually were supposed to record a new either EP or full length this past summer, but then COVID happened in March, and that wound up not happening. So we're shooting now for January
Oh, nice.
to record, and I'm gonna go up to Carlisle, PA, where the other two guys live. And this time we're not gonna try and do a 2-day recording.
Give yourselves a little more time.
I'm gonna spend like a week up there, and 2 days are gonna be practicing, and we're gonna give it 5 days in the studio,
Oh, nice.
recording and mixing. And hopefully by then we should have enough new songs for a full length, for it to be a full length.
Yeah, I mean, like
And
during like all of this, I mean, has it like musically, like when I talk to people, either it's done a lot for them creatively where they're writing tons and tons, or it's the other way where it just really hasn't like has it hit you more creatively? Do you feel like during this pandemic, do you feel like you've been more creative or not really?
not really, because and I've mentioned this in other interviews I've done. I've suffered with depression and anxiety since I was a child, and it's just kind of brought on a lot of depression. I mean, there's days when or weeks when I've sat around just doing nothing. I mean, like, there's been weeks where for a whole week I didn't shower. I mean, just because I'm so like, just depressed, and I mean, I know everybody's going through it. I mean, even people who don't, suffer from depression and anxiety, they're feeling some, you know, kind of sadness or some
Oh
sort of
yeah.
bad feeling in regards to how the world is right now. And for me, there's good days and there's bad days, but there's been a lot of bad days where literally just don't feel like doing anything. But I know that the goal is for us to record in January, and I already have a bunch of songs written and demoed, um, and I need to finish some more. So I'm gonna kind of have to pick myself up off the ground and just bite the bullet and do it,
Mm-hmm.
But one, good thing that did come out of it is I don't think the session, that this is not a reflection, would have happened were it not for COVID. That's one thing that kept me busy for the past, several months working on it. I mean, I don't know if you saw the promo video that we put
Yeah,
out for
I
it.
did. I love it. It's great. People should definitely check that out on your guys' YouTube page. I mean, it's all over your social media too. You can find it on there, but it's on YouTube and stuff too.
Yeah, it's got Jarrett from Bowling for Soup in it, Chris from Less Than Jake, Mikey Erg, Chris from Pink Lincolns, Soma Snake Oil, who, if you don't know, is Fat Mike's ex-wife.
That's right. I
Um,
knew her from some. I did know
yeah,
that.
yeah, she's in there. I contacted, some people that I knew or people that I knew who knew, the person,
Mm.
and said, hey, I'm doing this video, and all those people in there were cool enough to send me clips for it. So between that and keeping in contact with all those people, and I put the video together, I pieced it together and did all the editing and everything myself. Between that and working on stuff with This Is Not a Reflection, that's kept me busy, and that's kept my mind off of, the whole COVID thing, and helped a lot, with the depression is being busy with that.
Oh yeah, no,
So
that definitely has to help with that. That's being able to have like an outlet like that. I would think would definitely not solve everything, but definitely help out with things and giving you something to do as well.
yeah, and I'm not going to say what, but if you notice the title, This Is Not a Reflection, there's 3 periods at the end of it. The title is
Ooh.
actually This Is Not a Reflection, period, period, period. There's a reason it's that way.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not gonna say why or what or anything, in case it doesn't pan out what we're planning. Because then I don't want to hear, oh, you said you were going to do this, blah blah blah.
Oh yeah, no, it's better
So,
sometimes not to.
but yeah, there is a reason that there's there's 3 dots at the end of the title. That's all I'll say about that. Now.
That is awesome, man, because I mean, really, you guys haven't been I mean, like last few years, I know you put a few things out, re-released some stuff with like not-for-profit records and everything, but yeah, like the band really hasn't been it seems like as active as it is right now in like quite a while.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I thought I'd take the opportunity now. Well, we already planned on recording. Like I said, it was supposed to be this past summer, but when that didn't happen, I said, hey, let's give another shot at trying to get the session files from what was supposed to be our second full length. So that worked out. But I'm always writing. I mean, there might be, a month that goes by, when I'm just not feeling it. And, I might be on a playing video games kick or whatever. But, songs just come to me out of nowhere. I never really sit down and try to write something. It's, either I'll have a dream or I'll be laying in bed, trying to fall asleep, and a batch of lyrics and vocal harmonies or a guitar riff or something will just, come into my head. and I'll have to go and get up out of bed, go into my little home studio and record them, because if I don't, they're gone. Like, I'll just forget it. I have to make like a little basic recording of it so that I remember the next day. But yeah, that's kind of always how, the majority of songs have come to me, has just been popping in my head out of nowhere. Um, you know,
The
so
the first time we had you on back in 2016, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, you just started doing not-for-profit records, and your first release I know you did with your project Steve the Neurotics, and your first release on there that split with Krista Makes of Less Than Jake. I mean, do you have any more future plans with Steve the Neurotics? Like, is that something that you think you will continue? Like, I'm sure you're not working on right now, but I mean, is that something that you see continuing in the future? Is that like kind of an outlet for you when you're doing like non-shower with goats things?
yeah, because I'm so far from the other bandmates that there's long periods of time where we don't see each other, but I still got that itch.
Yeah.
I still got that itch to write and record stuff, and a lot of the stuff that I write um, doesn't fit as Shower with Goats songs. I mean, there's been some stuff I recorded as Stephen the Neurotics that could have been Shower with Goats songs, and a couple actually that one of my band members was kind of like, man, why didn't you save that for Shower with Goats? But for the most part, it's like for people that have heard the full length that I put out, um there's some different styles on there. There's some songs that wouldn't be considered punk. They'd be considered maybe indie, maybe alternative. I don't know,
Oh yeah.
but they're definitely not pop punk. They're definitely not. They don't have a Shower with Goats sound to it. So that's also my outlet for stuff that just doesn't fit with Shower with Goats. Um, you know, so I definitely plan on continuing that. Good thing is I've been, learning to play drums the past couple of years, and I've been because like on that split with Chris and on the full length, it's just drum loops. I mean, if you're not paying attention, if you're not one of those people that analyzes stuff, you might not even notice, but it's just drum loops because I couldn't play drums and I didn't have a drummer accessible. I recorded the vocals, I recorded the guitars, the bass, I could do all that. But several years back, I picked up a USB drum kit, a pretty decent one that I could control the volume on so I won't annoy my neighbors. And I've been starting, I've been practicing and just kind of teaching myself, and I've gotten better. I could, get through somewhat decently as far as punk or pop punk goes, entire songs with, changing beats. I mean, it might not be anything fancy, but,
You
it
can
does
keep a
the
beat.
job. Yeah, I can keep a beat. And so hopefully on the next thing I release for Steven the Neurotics that is, properly mixed and everything, it'll have real drums on it.
Nice.
So it'll, you know, it'll sound more authentic.
No, that's
So
cool. Like, and anyone who hasn't heard that album either is well worth going and checking out. And that is what I like about it, is there's songs on there that you can definitely be like, oh yeah, like Steve wrote that. But there are things in there that will kind of catch you off guard if if you only know Shower with Goats. Like, and I like that. It is kind of a, like, everything flows well together, but you go different places on there that I think is really neat. Is that still on Bandcamp, right? People, if they want to go check that out, that's like on your Bandcamp and stuff.
yep. And the second and what will be the final pressing, concrete pressing on CD, I think we're down to like 10 copies. So if you haven't picked up a CD and you want it, I suggest you get it now, because in the format it's in now, there's not going to be any more pressings. What I plan on doing is taking some of those songs from the full length and actually having real drums on there.
Oh, nice.
I'm not going to play the drums because, it's going to be years before, I'm good enough and comfortable enough to do an entire album.
Mm.
But I have a friend, who lives in the area, who's offered, once COVID is over, to go into a studio I've worked in before here, the one that actually mixed the solo album. I did a rough mix at home, but I didn't feel it was good enough, so I had the mixing outsourced to a local studio. And he agreed to do drums for it. Just have a click at the beginning, where right before it starts, and he knows the songs, he'll know where to come in. And I want to redo it. It'll be the same exact recording, I think, except for the drums. And then I'll probably do a re-release of it.
Oh, cool. That's really
so
neat.
that's the plan on that. But like I said, that's going to be post COVID.
I like the idea,
So
I like that album, but I'm imagining it like going in with like real live drums and stuff. I feel like even add to the songs even more. Like that'll only make the songs better, in my opinion.
yeah, that's that's one thing that was definitely missing. But I did what I could at the time. I didn't know this person at the time when I recorded that, so that wasn't an option. So I just kind of had to go with what I had. But I feel the drum loops don't do it justice. But probably, I think there's 20 songs on that, including 2 covers. When we redo it, it's probably going to be toned down to like maybe between 12 and 15 songs, like the best ones from there.
Will that be hard for you, or do you already kind of have an idea of like what you like? If you had to kick it down to like a 12-song track list, like do you already kind of have the idea, or is this going to be really difficult for you to like figure out what ones you actually want to get rid of?
No, I already have an idea
Oh, okay.
of it. So that won't be hard at all. There's some that after a while I was just like, I didn't like that very much, or I could have done better, or whatever. And of course I take into consideration what's popular. Like what songs did people like and what songs did people not like. So that's going to come into account as well. Because it's like, there's some songs where I think, I might be the only person that likes it, and it's like, why would I spend, time and money redoing those, if it's, if I'm the only person that's going to appreciate it and listen to it,
Yeah.
So, and every band has those songs,
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
it's very rare that there's, like a flawless record where, everybody likes every single song on there. So
No, I'm sure there's a lot of other bands who like your idea. Are probably like, yeah, I wouldn't mind going back and kind of like revising a few of our albums, maybe taking out some of those, a few songs here and there. I mean, I'm sure you're not alone in that.
no, as a matter of fact, I was just talking to the old Shower Goats drummer Dave about a week or two ago. I would have loved to have remixed Just Another Day, but the master DATs, or ADATs rather, the master ADATs have been lost.
Oh man.
And I remember giving them to someone who was like, I think was a past band member, and I asked Dave, I said, do you have them? I said, 8-ats. I said, they were like VHS tapes, but they were recorded audio, and like, studios would have, if they could only record 16 tracks, they'd have 2 of them because each 8-at recorder had 8 tracks on it. So, but some better studios would have 3, so they'd have 24 tracks available for recording. But we had 2 for just another day. And I said, do you have those? And he said, no. I was like, are you sure? I was like, because I gave them to someone because I was trying to minimize like a lot of clutter and stuff. And, I didn't want to throw them away, obviously, but, I gave them to someone who I knew wouldn't, toss them, who would mean something to, and I can't recall who asked them, so they're just lost. So,
Man,
I
hopefully
mean,
they
maybe
pop up
that's a good
someday.
thing.
Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if I'd want to remix it too much because I want to keep the sense, I want to keep that era intact,
Yeah.
but that album was never mastered. And that's one thing, I mean, and a lot of bands didn't master stuff back then because it was just too expensive, and now it's a lot easier to get recordings mastered. Like This Is Not a Reflection, everything on there is mastered. Every song on there has been mastered. So I would have liked to at least had, a slight remix, but mastering as well, which if you're unfamiliar with the mastering term, it's kind of what equals out all the levels, the EQs, the bass and the treble, and make sure that as an album it flows together, and that all the levels are the same in between songs, so that it's kind of seamless.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry if you hear grinding in the background. One of my neighbors is working on their car.
Oh no, I can't hear anything actually. You're all good.
Okay, good. But yeah, I would have loved to have had Just Another Day, mastered at least. But who knows where those 8-ats are? I have no idea. But like you said, maybe they'll turn up someday.
You never know. I mean, I'm sure there's a time where it was like, I mean, the new record. I mean, there's probably a time like, oh, I don't know if this is gonna get released. Then it gets released. You never know. Maybe one day we'll. That'd be great to hear that mastered and everything. That would be cool to see. Because you're right too. Like, I mean, I don't know tons about mastering, but I do know that it's a lot easier nowadays. I don't know how well they work, but I've even seen like, I mean, it's like very, very new stuff, but like you can almost do it like you're like automated mastering, like almost like the computer does it for you kind of thing. So it definitely seems like it's more doable now than maybe back then.
Yeah, and you could tell the difference. The songs, they're a lot brighter, a lot crisper. They just sound like it's like having like these songs are awesome, and then having, whoa, this is a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
It kind of brings that breath of fresh air to the recordings. You could just tell the difference between one that's mastered and not. So yeah, but I don't know if you are familiar with the old LA band The Last.
I've heard the name. I'm not familiar outside of that. I've heard their name a few times brought up.
They were big in the late 70s and in LA. They had an album called LA Explosion that was really big, and they came out of the same scene as like Descendants and Black Flag.
Oh, nice.
and everything. And as a matter of fact, on one of their albums, they did an album in 2013 that Bill Stevenson and Carl Alvarez played on,
Oh, wow.
and Bill Stevenson produced. So I guess they've known each other for a long time, but they had a second, what was supposed to be their second album. It was supposed to come out in 1980, and it got shelved. And they just announced, like a couple days ago, that they're releasing it, and this is 40 years later.
Wow.
Like there's, there was like 50 test presses made of it that have gone for between like $600 and $800 on Discogs.
Wow.
Of the original, but they, remixed and mastered everything, and you could get it, I think, on their Bandcamp. It's limited colored vinyl, and there's one that comes with a bonus 7-inch, and it's like $30 for like the colored vinyl and the bonus 7-inch package.
That's not bad at all.
But yeah, I mean that was an album that was shelved for 40 years. So anything's possible. That's why I bring that up, because you're saying, hey,
Yeah.
wonder how long stuff will take, or if something will happen in the future. I mean, if I were those guys, I would have thought, okay, this is never coming out. I mean, that's there's been like bootlegs of the test pressings and stuff out there, but it's they didn't put it out for a reason, obviously. But yeah, it's finally gotten released, and I ordered a copy because I make sure, I mean, you have to be friends with me on Facebook, but check out my most recent Facebook post from today. I posted a song of their first album. And it's one that I used to love when I was younger, and I hadn't listened to it for probably 10 years until I just heard that they're finally releasing that second album, and that made me, grab, the first album and start listening to it. And there's a song on there that I posted, on my Facebook. But yeah, it's incredible. 40 years, 1980 it was supposed to come out. Yeah.
I mean, that's I mean, for one, 11 years looks like nothing compared to that. That's like nothing now when you compare it to 40 years.
40 years. I mean, I was 3 years old. I'm 43.
I wasn't even alive.
So, yeah, so that's
I'm now gonna have to check out this band too. You've also done I mean, hopefully anyone listening to this as well, but I mean, even if nobody else, just me, you've gotten me really interested in this band, because I've only ever heard the name and I'd never realized they were, I take it like a punk band and have associations with like Black Flag and the Descendants and all that. So I'm definitely gonna have to go check them out.
Yeah, they have that late 70s LA sound. Like it might, they don't sound like Descendants or like Black Flag. They're like a mix, of like pop rock and classic rock and punk, and but the song that I posted is probably their most well-known and loved song. It's got like some Beach Boys influence to it.
Oh, nice.
It's really cool. So yeah, definitely check it out. And if you want, I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. You could edit it in your this conversation, like oh yeah, you mean the song blah blah blah. Yeah, that one.
Oh, that one. Yeah, that one. Totally.
Yeah. So you could check out my Facebook post with the YouTube link to it.
That is awesome. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna have to check out that band. Hopefully, other people do too, as well as Quit. Quit is another one people should go check out. And actually, I had this written down. I do actually want to bring this up for a second before we close things here. But last time you were on, we did talk about Quit and a bunch of other kind of like good obscure bands kind of, or like maybe more unknown bands that maybe you guys came up with back in the day. And I remember back then we had to cut a lot of that out just for time's sake. So that would be fun this time. Like, I mean, last time we talked about Quid and stuff, but are there any bands like maybe off the, I'm not giving you very much time to think about this, but off the top of your head, are there any like obscure, lesser known bands that Shower with Goats came up with that you think people should go check out? And I mean, and it's nice now, with there's all those archives and stuff online for like, including like with New Jersey punk bands and stuff where people can go find
Right.
them. But like, are there any ones you would say go check out that people maybe don't know about?
Well, I don't know. It's like you said, that Shower with Goats came up with. I don't know about that, but personally, the band Jolt, who were from, I think, was it Alameda County or something like that, like Fremont area of California. Jolt. Unfortunately, the vocalist and songwriter Paul passed away like about 5 years ago. But they put out a 7-inch on Shredder. They put out a 7-inch on Rhetoric Records. They had probably like 5 7-inches out. And the guy, when I first met the guys in Less Than Jake back in early '95, they actually turned me on to them. They were playing them in their old blue van, and I was like, who are these guys? And they're like, oh, they're called Jolt. And I copied the mixtape that they had with the songs on it. They're a great band that are definitely underrated, and it's hard to find info on them. So I'll just spit out a few songs to check out. Let It Go, Celeste, and Lullaby. Because if you just search for Jolt, like on YouTube, you're probably going to get, The Jolt. There was that, kind of classic band, The Jolt.
Oh yeah, that's
so,
right.
So it's hard to find stuff, and there's not a lot of info about Jolt online. So, if you search for their stuff, search for Jolt, Let It Go, Jolt, Celeste, and Jolt, Lullaby. Those are my 3 favorite songs by them. And they were around from the, I want to say early to mid or maybe past mid 90s. And it completely underrated. So those guys definitely. Trying to think of anyone else.
I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here.
Yeah. Well, there's a band that just put out a release. If you haven't heard them, they're called Stinky Meatballs, and they're from Ohio, and they have this classic skate punk sound. Like the main guy, Jake, from the band, he's been putting out YouTube videos for years, like of like guitar tutorials on how to play certain songs and stuff like that. And he had a fan base on there, and he kind of did like the solo thing like for years. And he finally got like a full band together, and they just put out this new CD. You could listen to it on Spotify and stuff. You just search for Stinky Meatballs, and it's like got this classic skate punk sound with like a touch of like that queer screeching weasel pop punk.
Oh, right up my alley
style. So that's that's a new band. Well, I wouldn't say new, but
newer.
like I said, newer, and they just put out the first full length, their first actual physical release. So that's brand new. I would definitely check them out. That's all off the top of my head. That's all I could think of. There is one thing I forgot to mention though. On top of the plans for recording, and why I said hopefully January, of course, is due to COVID. Because right now, Texas, where I live, is one of the states that is quarantined from going to New Jersey and New York and PA. I can't fly in there without having to be
Ooh.
quarantined for like 14 days. So, us recording is dependent on things calming down enough to that ban being lifted. Otherwise, I won't be able to fly in,
Yeah.
to up there. But if all goes as planned, we'll have a new release out by summer 2021, and we're planning on doing like 3 to 4 shows
Nice.
in the Northeast. And New Jersey and Pennsylvania are 2 of those shows. I'm not going to say the other 2 right now because they're not, it's not concrete, but those 2 places are definite. If everything, goes well with COVID, because we'll have, what we record in January released in a physical format by the summer. So it'll, just come out. We'll have a new album, and so we will be playing a batch of shows.
Oh, that is
up
awesome.
there. So those of us who either never got to see us or haven't seen us since our Union show in 2007 or before, cross your fingers that COVID either calms down or goes the hell away, and you'll get to see us.
Nice.
So I forgot to mention that.
No, that is awesome. I mean, that 2007, is that the last time you guys played live?
Yeah, believe it or not.
Wow.
The only other thing is that New Jersey pop punk Facebook group. They've been doing a series of those things called quarantunes.
Yeah.
Like once a month or so, where they have people from like past New Jersey pop punk bands, and I guess in Shower with Goat's case, it would still, would be considered present as well, do acoustic sets. And in June, I did an acoustic set on there, and that was my first experience doing anything like that.
How was it?
I was nervous as hell, beforehand, but it went well, and it actually helped kind of spark some interest in Shower with Goats again for people that may have forgotten about us, as well as, some people that never heard us. And the show that we played, Fred Mascherino, who was in Breaking Pangea and Taking Back Sunday, and now he does The Color Fred, he played that show with us. Janet LaBelle, who was in the New Jersey pop punk band Avery, did a set, and believe it or not, Joe from the Dead Milkmen played the show. So it was like, wow, I'm playing a show with the head guy from Dead Milkmen. It's like,
That's
even though it was
sick.
like online and live, it was, it was still kind of cool,
Oh, hell yes.
So that was, I would consider that, the first time since 2007. Even though it was, just me solo,
It counts.
it was
I feel like
mainly,
it counts.
it was mainly Shower with Goats songs. I think I threw one or 2 short Steve Neurotic songs in there. It was like a combo stuff off my first EP. But it's mainly Shower with Goats stuff. So and that was in June.
That's awesome to think you guys will play a couple more shows would be very cool. I would definitely like to check that out. And I mean, it is exciting because I mean, I before this, I mean, obviously we're here to talk about the new record, but not realizing how much stuff you kind of have in the works. You are a very busy man musically right now. It sounds like. I mean, you have your hands full.
Yeah, well, I never want to say Shower with Goats is going to go away forever, because the band has, done more for me personally, than I could ever mention. Back when I did a podcast for This Was the Scene with Mike Doyle.
Oh, great podcast.
I mentioned it. It's that. Before Shower with Goats, I had no self-esteem. I didn't have very many friends. I was just kind of a, loner that, kept to himself most of the time. And, Shower with Goats, I was kind of forced to become this social person because I was the front man, and I used to even, say like goofy and funny stuff, on the stage. There'd be, a cute girl standing next to her boyfriend, and I'd say to the boyfriend, on the mic, hey, is that your girl? He'd be like, yeah. I'd be like, well, you better treat her right, or otherwise I'm going to steal her from you. And, I never in a million years would I, and they both laughed, they thought it was funny. I mean, a bunch of people in the crowd laughed, but, I never would have even, thought about, saying something like that, or much less approach a girl at all, before then. It's like I was just this like frightened kid, and with no self-esteem. So Shower with Goats is what brought me out of that. When I started noticing that people took an interest in the band and actually liked something that I created, it meant everything to me. So, that being said, as I said a minute ago, I don't want to ever say that Shower with Goats, will break up. We may take long hiatuses. We've had band member changes in the past. Who knows? It could happen down the line if any of the guys, don't want to do it, even though, it's only part-time. But, it's something I hopefully can keep going in one form or another, until I take my last breath.
That's awesome. I mean, it's definitely awesome. I mean, as a fan of what you do too, that's I like hearing things like that where it's like, yeah, we just, we kind of keep going with it, which I think more bands should do too. That idea of that, where you don't have to be doing something every second. Like, I kind of like that, where it's like, it may not always be the most prominent thing. We may not always be doing it, but it doesn't mean you have to break up or anything like that. We just kind of come back and work on it, like when we have something to release or whatever.
Like Descendants.
Yeah, that's a great, what? That is a solid example. That is a perfect example of that.
And All hasn't put out an album in, God, how long has it been?
God, like early 90s, mid 90s?
No. It was I think mid to late 90s.
Okay.
They had what was it? Problematic. Was the last one. I think that was that 03, maybe 17 years ago.
Wasn't it? See, I totally forgot any of those came out in the 2000s. I thought they were all like at least late 90s.
They had Mass Nerder, and then they had Problematic was the last one. But they've never said that they've broken up, Yeah. They've just been focusing on Descendants on and off. So, but there was a long period where Descendants was just gone, and it was all,
Yeah. Most of the 90s, a good chunk at least.
Yeah. Yep. So, there's other bands like that, and even if you don't have the time, life changes, you get married, you have kids, whatever, you move 1,000 miles from your band members, like me, and I mean even the guys, in Descendants. I mean, like Stefan Egerton lives, I think, in Oklahoma, and Bill is in Colorado, and I think Milo, does he live in either? He lives somewhere on the West Coast, I think.
I guess I always assume
But
California, but I don't know that 100%.
yeah, if not California, then Oregon or Washington.
Yeah, he's definitely
But
West Coast. He's one of those.
yeah, but they make it work,
Oh yeah,
So
totally. And that's the thing is, yeah, I think I wish more bands had that mindset that you guys have. And yeah, that a great example of that too, Descendants at all, where it's just like, yeah, we get to it when we get to it, like when we have music and we have things to release, but there's no need to just be like, yeah, we break up and then it's like, make it so permanent. So, I like that as a fan. But, this has been great. I've been stoked to have you back on, and we definitely have to make sure you're on again with not 4 years in between. I mean, I would assume probably once the new Shower with Goats record is out, once that stuff's going on, I mean, we'll probably have you on much sooner than later. But as we are closing out here, man, I mean, now's the time. I mean, where can people grab the music? All the other not-for-profit record releases, where can they find you online? All that stuff. Basically now, people enjoy this. They want to hear your music. They want to follow you. Where do they go find all that stuff?
Well, the main place is notforprofitrecords.com is where you can order like physical releases as well as download the digital releases. And, that's the best place because, the majority of the money goes toward actually the label, which goes toward helping the charities. But we have, I have started putting all the not-for-profit record stuff up on Spotify and iTunes and all the other streaming services. And I think every release is up except Pink Lincoln's in the queue, the Pink Lincoln's Headache. It should be up on Spotify and iTunes and every other place within a week. It's just waiting on, because they had the cover song on there of Elton John's Saturday Night It's All Right for Fighting. So we're just waiting to get the license back for that cover. And then it should be up there. But the split with Chris is up there. The Shower with Goats releases are up there, so you could just look for Shower with Goats on Spotify, or if you want to check out the split I did with Steve Neurotic with Chris DeMakes, you could just search for Chris DeMakes on Spotify. It's up there. So you could check us out there. Facebook.com/Shower with Goats. I post everything on. And I'm also on Instagram as at Steve Neurotic. It's kind of a mix of personal stuff, like a vinyl blog, because I'm a big vinyl collector.
Yeah, I get jealous of your collection. I gotta say that on your Instagram. Sometimes you post shit and I'm like, oh man, you have one solid collection.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. But I do post the Shower with Goats and Stephen Neurotics. If there's any news to post, that's where I'll post it as well. We don't have a separate, Shower with Goats thing because, since we're a band that's, kind of like part-time, it would be boring, if it was just a Shower with Goats and Instagram.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like I said, Spotify and notforprofitrecords.com. And I just want to say, thank you so much for having me on here again. It was a pleasure the first time, and I was thrilled to do it again here.
I've been excited, man. I can't thank you enough for coming back and for being our very first guest too. Definitely got to thank you for that. That was nice. First person we ever asked to and didn't even say no. Beautiful thing.
I was honored. So.
But no, man, that was awesome, and this has been really fun. I'm happy now too. Now we're 2 hours long, so we can play the whole thing. I don't have to cut anything. Podcast, we can play the whole damn thing. So I'm excited people can hear all this, and find the new record and stuff. But yeah, I mean, before we're gonna play some stuff now, but I mean, is there anything else we missed, man? Any like other, I guess, closing things before we get into the music?
Go out and vote. Make your vote count.
Well
That's
said.
all I got to say.
Well said. So right now we're going to play some stuff off. This is Not a Reflection, and we're going to kick it off right now with one of my favorites off of it. This is Glue right here on the Power Chord Hour.
Sometimes that I'm a pain in your ass. I'm always stressed and forever a mess. But without you the world would fall around me. You're the only thing holding me, can't you see? I know my moods have seen a million better days. I know I let the small things get the best of me. But I need you here to stay in one piece, 'cause without you I am frail and weak. You're my glue. I'm so glad I'm stuck to you. You're my glue. I know sometimes I drive you just a little mad. I know my pessimism makes you a little sad. But you're the only one that could crack a smile from me. I'd fall to pieces if you weren't here with me. You're my glue, and I'm so glad I'm stuck to you. You're my glue. God save us from this hellish place. I guess I had to visit hell to find heaven within her. So take my hand, my lovely one. We'll climb through all the dust and rubble until we rise above. We'll climb up to a mountaintop so high that we'll be laughing down from up in the sky as the zombies try and feed on a city with no brains. Like an Enross book, this place will keep sucking every last bit of my blood right out of me. I know it's time to leave this place. We'll rise above. God save us from this evil place. I guess I had to suffer before I found peace within her. So take my hand, my lovely one. We'll climb through all the dust and rubble till we rise above. One by one we'll kill these effigies that are so far from human. I must believe that they have been sent here from a planet far away. As we drive away and middle fingers fly, we'll breathe a sigh
Hey, this is Roger from Less Than Jake, and you're listening to the Power Chord Hour. Nice.
Get up in the morning with a new outlook on life. Well, I know now that you are no friend of mine, and I'm saying, hey, I'm done with you this time. I'm saying, hey, I'm sick of you and your pathetic life. An amalgamation of trickery and lies. I'm saying, hey, I'm sick of you and your pathetic life. I wash my hands of you and move on with mine. I get up in the morning and I plant both feet on the ground. I smile so wide 'cause you're no longer around, and I'm so glad that you have left this town. I'm saying, hey, I'm sick of you and your pathetic life. An amalgamation, trickery and lies. I'm saying, hey, I'm saying, hey, I'm saying, I'm saying,
Right here on the Power Chord Hour podcast, that was Shower with Goats with Pathetic Life. Before that was Shower with Goats with Rise Above, and opening up that block of music was Shower with Goats with Glue. All of those come off the brand new record, This Is Not a Reflection, and I had such a fun time talking to him. I totally forgot to ask him, which was a huge part of the interview. But if you go watch the promo video, the proceeds for this one is going towards Black Lives Matter. And you would have thought I would have asked him, like, as we're talking not-for-profit records, where the proceeds are going for this one. I totally blanked. Obviously, he totally blanked because he never brought it up either. So we both totally forgot. But that I'm gonna put a link for the promo video that we were talking about with everyone in it. But if you go watch it, Mikey Erg of the Ergs band we play on the radio show quite a bit says where the proceeds go, and that goes to Black Lives Matter. So go check that out. Great album. I love the thing. If you're new to Shower with Goats, if you are familiar with them, either way, this is either a great introduction to the band. Like I would say, if you're new to them, this is a great place to start. And if you're a fan of the old stuff, I think you're gonna like this a lot. You know, we kind of got into it in this one, but maybe not as much as we did in the first interview. But I mean, they really were very prominent in that New Jersey punk scene that I talk so much about on here. You know, I mean, Steve had so much to do. Like, we didn't get into it this time. I believe the last time we talked about it. I mean, him putting out compilations, putting out other people's records, doing different things throughout the years that kind of got him ready and prepared for what he's doing with not-for-profit records. But, definitely go check that out. And actually, if you're listening to this the week that this comes out, we're going to have that first Friday of the month coming up here where Bandcamp waives their fees for artists. So, I mean, what better time to go grab that? That means even more money is going to go towards all these different charities, whether you grab that or you grab any of the other releases up there from the Pink Lincolns or his split with Krista Makes of Less Than Jake or the other Shower with Goats releases, any of that stuff, they all go to great causes, and there'll be even more money towards them if you buy that during that first Friday. So if you're listening to this when it comes out, on November 2nd, mark your calendar for November 6th here and go grab it. And either way, I mean, even if it's after that, go grab it. It still goes to a great cause, but, you can definitely help maximize their money there and their profits. So hit them up, notforprofitrecords.bandcamp.com and notforprofitrecords.com. I want to thank Steve again. again. He will definitely be back on again before 4 years passes. We were supposed to have him back on in 2018, and we just had some scheduling conflicts. It just never happened. And then, for a while there, I don't think there was just not a ton to promote. And now, as you can hear from that, he has quite a bit going on right now musically again. So it's very cool. That was the last time, too. When it rains, it pours, because the last time I talked to him as well, he had he just started the label. He was releasing new music. He did that split, all with all the other stuff he was doing in his life, and, just busy man, and looks like he's doing it again. And I'm excited to hear more new music from him. So that'll be very cool. We will definitely have him back on again in the future. And yeah, definitely will not take us 4 years. But that is going to be the episode. Thank you so much for checking it out. As always, go to follow online. We're at Power Chord Hour on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Check us out on Spotify. We put up all the playlists there every week from the radio show, as well as other special playlists like my Power Chord Crash Course ones. And I have ones up from the band X, from Big Star, from Alkaline Trio, from their placements. And they're like 17-song playlists that if you're new to the band, this is kind of I would say a point of entry. Like, these are the songs you should check out if you're trying to get into a band. And I also purposely do it where I try to span their career. So like, that's the other thing. I don't want to just do a greatest hits on those. So it's like, I put songs that you'll know, but like, say like for X, per se, like I didn't put Nausea on there. I didn't put Los Angeles. There are certain songs that if you were doing a greatest hits for X, I would say were 100% on there, and probably their most well-known songs. And I put some well-known songs, but I put more like minor hits, fan favorites, ones that I think were just, some of their best songs. And, just on purpose to try to do that, because it's like, there's probably hundreds of other playlists out there. There's definitely greatest hits collections out there. So it's like, I'm trying to do it a little differently. But those Power Chord Crash Course ones up on our Spotify page, as well as our weekly show mixes. More recently, if you listened to last week's October Rundown episode, I put up an accompanying playlist, which I'm going to start doing, where I put up, a playlist at the end of each month of like a highlight of the music that came out each month. So like at the end of November here, I will have one in a few weeks. I don't even want to think about the end of another month. This year's just flying by so fast, but yeah, so we're gonna keep doing that on Spotify, so give us a follow on there. And we do have Power Chord Hour t-shirts. I would love to send you one. All you got to do is go rate and review us on iTunes. Send me a screenshot of said review. I will send you a free sheet. I have mushmouth. A free t-shirt, absolutely free, and I'll probably throw in some guitar picks. And I'm going to have some Power Chord Hour stickers. I don't want to say very soon, probably still going to be a couple weeks. I know last time I ordered them, it did take a few weeks to get them. I'm not complaining. They said it would take a while, and with COVID, I'm sure that's not helping at all. And but when I get those, we'll have more Power Chord Hour stickers to give out. I cannot believe how fast. I ordered 250 of those, and we are out. Those things have went faster than the T-shirts, than any pins that I've ever made, the guitar picks. Like any promotional item I've ever done, nobody seems to like as much as they like stickers. So it seemed like a no-brainer to get more made, and people have been asking me constantly for them. So we'll have those very, very soon. If you're one of those people who hit me up and I said, sorry, we're out of stickers, I am going to have stickers very soon, so hit me up again, and I'll make sure I will get some out to you. That is going to be this episode. I'll be back next week with another one for you. But until then, for the Power Chord Hour podcast, I'm Anthony Merchant. Thanks for listening.